Hi, this is Mary from Kamaj Fiber Arts, and this video is just for you. And if you have gotten some really fine merino from Kamaj Fiber Arts or anywhere else, you will find that it is so soft, it doesn't even feel like wool. This feels like silk, seriously. It has a very fine crimp, indicating that it's a very soft, low micron wool. It's very strong. This fiber is super sound. Now, with all merino sheep, mostly, and some other types of sheep, the locks are very close together. It keeps the wool and the skin protected, so you'll see some dark fibers on the top, and it'll be very white below that. These are very easy to clean. I'm going to show you how to do that. So some of the tips may be a little weathered, and that is in any fiber that you get that's not covered. They may come off when you're processing, but that's okay. That's kind of the way it is. And don't blame the grower. It's the sheep. They're outside, they're rolling around, they're rubbing up against each other, they're in the sun in the winter all year long. This takes a year to grow this fiber. So I'm going to show you how to process this very fine fleece in a couple different ways. Some things to remember when you scour fine grade wools. Now there's fine grade, medium grade, and coarse grade wools. You want to make sure that you use a soap that's appropriate for these wools. There are some soaps that will break down the wool fiber and make them brittle and weak. So I would recommend Unicorn, Kookaburra, or you can use Orvis paste. I do not recommend Dawn soap, any dishwashing soap, no Simple Green, no laundry soap, no borax or soda. The fine fibers are in a class all by themselves. You can use Dawn for other things, and you'll see in my new ebook what you can use Dawn soaps for, but not for your fine wools. They will get ruined. Or you're going to find that you're going to have a lot of neps in your baths and you can't figure out why, or extra waste in your combing, and again, that will be the reason why. With these fine fibers, I love to comb them, and I think they're more appropriate to be combed. A lot of people will try to put their fine fibers through their carder, and it creates a lot of neps, and mostly because it's not that it's a weak fiber, not at all. It's just it's thinner because the microns are very small, and sometimes those machines sort of tear apart those very delicate fine fibers. So if you're going to use fine grade wools, I would recommend combing them and pulling them and dizzing them into a comb top, or you can spin them directly off the comb, or you can even scour the locks and spin directly from the locks. So there's so many different ways you can do it. That's what makes it really cool. Okay, one more thing about fine merinos, really any wool, but especially your fine merinos, do not go over 140 degrees of scouring. It has a very nice luster to it, and if you start to raise that temperature of the water, you're going to take away the luster, and again, you're going to break down those bonds that hold the fiber together, causing it to be weak. I've used 120, 125 degrees, and I've gotten excellent results with that. So, and I like to put my hands in the water and kind of swish it around a little bit, and with water that's 140 degrees, it is just too hot for me. So, okay, let me get my things together and I'll show you how I do it. So the first technique I'm going to show you is one that shows you how to clean the locks, actually one by one, but more in a group sort of lock scouring thing. We're going to use tulle, which is a fabric that's used under like wedding dresses and things like that. Make sure the tulle that you get is a little on the stiff side, because the really fine soft tulle won't work as well. And this is about a, I don't know, 15 by 16 inch square. It just depends on how long your locks are. Okay, I'm going to set that aside, but this is what this is going to turn out to be. But see how clean those are? And look how white that, oh my gosh, this stuff is so white. This fiber is from Andy McMurray, and he raises fine merino sheep in the USA. He has 1,000 head. Can you imagine? Can you imagine raising 1,000 head of beautiful sheep and them all just being spectacular? All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use I can use a dog comb. You can also use a dog, like a flicker brush. I don't have one, but we're going to use this. And then this is the little tool that I use to clean my carder. This is going to work just as nicely, so I'll show you how to use this. This is a hairbrush cleaner tool, and it helps me clean out my other tools. This thing is really nice. And if you haven't seen my video on how to clean drum carders, you must go see it, because this tool is the bomb. You'll see. Okay, so I have my tool, and then I'm also going to use these little, if you're a quilter, you know what these are. These are little fabric clips. Those are going to come in handy, and I will show you those in a minute. Okay, so let's set these aside. The first thing I'm going to do is you want to get, I call this the sunny side. This is the sunny side up, or the side of the wool towards the sun. You can see how, a little bit worn it is. Wind worn, weather worn, rain worn. And then this is the bottom. This is towards the animal. So I'm going to grab some tips and hold down the bottom and just gently pull them out. So I have a nice lock like this. This is called pulling locks. Now you want to pull locks when your fiber is dry. And the reason is because when your fiber gets wet, the hydrogen bonds that hold this wool together are actually replaced with a water molecule, and it becomes weak. So that's why you don't want to pull locks when your fiber is wet, or you don't want to test the strength of your fiber when it's wet, because it's inherently weaker. But when the fiber dries, the water molecules go away and the hydrogen molecules reform, and your wool is strong again. So that is a reason, that is the main reason why you don't weight down your yarn to set the twist. You manage, or to balance your yarn, I mean. Your balancing of your yarn comes in the twist, the spinning and the angle of twist and all that. It's not to be done at the end. Okay, so I wanted to show you this little piece. This is a little second cut. Second cuts are nobody's fault. Not the shearer, not the person that skirts it. Sometimes they just happen. I have another YouTube video called Where the Neps Hide, so go ahead and look at that one, and it will show you a little bit more about how to manage neps in your fiber and where to find them. All right, so now I have some nice little locks prepared, and this is like a spinning lap thing, and it's white on one side and black on the other, and I use this when I prep my locks because it doesn't have the loops like a towel does, because these are going to get stuck in the loops. So the first thing I'll do is I will grasp my wool like that, and then I put my finger over it to lock it in place. So I grasp it this way, and I put my finger over it to lock it in place. Then I'm going to set it down on the towel, or not the towel, the fabric. Now, all I'm going to do is set this down, pull it up, set this down, pull it up. So I'm sort of fluffing up the ends of the locks. So we're flicking them open first, so they get washed, because when they're so compact, the dirt is in there, and you just can't. Well, I mean, you probably can get them clean, but not as effectively as if you flicked open the tips first. Okay, so once I'm done with kind of the up and down motion, then I'll do a little brushing. And if the tips are weathered, they're going to pull off at this point. You can see a little bit of the tips in there. So now this is ready to go. and to put into my tool. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest. I'm going to do, well, let's do another one, and I'll show you how to use that dog comb. This does take a little time, but when you have an expensive wool and you want to spin a beautiful yarn, it's, you know, this just takes time. It is what it is, and just relax and zen it out, and, you know, give yourself some time and enjoy the process. It's really, really worth it. Okay, here's the comb. Now, you don't have to put it on the fabric, but I'm just going to comb the ends. And you can see this takes off more waste. Now, if I don't comb these and I want to scour them, that's quite all right, because when they go in your wool combs, then your wool combs are going to take off any of the tips that break at that point. So you have kind of a check and balance system along the way. And that's ready. Fine fibers are really, really lovely to spin lace weight, and for drapey shawls, it really has like a silk-like quality, and it's just really, really special. And it's not just merino, there's other fine grade fibers as well. But it's all about the grade of the fiber, and you will see in my new ebook, I know I keep saying that, but you are going to see that your scouring choices of soap and things like that are going to be based on the grade of your wool. Okay, so now I've got that. I'm going to take my my piece of tulle, and I'm going to kind of figure out where the middle is, and then I'm going to lay these down. Now, I will put them the tip towards the fold, because the edge is going to be folded over a little bit and the water may not get in as well, and the tips are the dirtiest part of this fleece. Also, if you have some vegetable, there's a little vegetable matter in this one. If you have a little vegetable matter, combing will take that out, so I'm never afraid of that. I just scour, and then I'll get the vegetable matter out when I use my wool combs. Okay, then I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to bring these down just a little bit, fold it over, and then fold over that edge, put on a clip, turn it around, fold over this other edge, put on a clip. Then I have a little open end here, and I'm going to fold over the edge, but see how it kind of comes over on the, because these are, well, let's poke those down a little bit. You know, you may look at this and go, are you kidding? I'm sure you are. But honestly, if you do a little work at the, and I call it the front end versus the back end, the back end is the combing. If you do a little work now, it'll be so easy when you start combing, because these locks will be washed and clean, and you just put them on your combs, and it's so nice. Now, I could wash this like this. This wool, even if well, I'm not going to talk about that yet, but if you handle this properly, it won't felt, of course. But because the fibers are so fine, they do get a little bit entangled in each other. Well, what happens when you try to comb it and you're trying to take out like the snarls like you do in your hair, it's going to break. Just because you have snarls, you know, and it's tangled, and it's not impossible, but you can absolutely scour it just like this, but it will not be in lock formation. It'll be just a big, nice, beautiful white cloud of wool. Another thing about fine fibers, you do not want to run them through a picker. They just can't take the force that a picker puts on wool and it will tear the fiber apart. Again, not because it's weak, it's just because it's fine, and you have to look at this as wool that's a little bit on the more delicate side. All right, so that is the packet method, and let me show you how I actually scour this. Okay, when I scour these little packets, I use a cake pan. I don't know, I think it's about 3 inches deep. So the water in my home is about 125 degrees, and that is absolutely perfect for any wool, really, any wool. Okay, so I'm going to use Kookaburra Scour. I love Kookaburra Scour and Unicorn Power Scour, and I'm kind of like an Orvis paste too, but these are my favorites. And I fill the water, I fill the vessel up with water first, and then I put some soap in it. So I put a fair amount of soap. I just swish it around. I don't want any bubbles. I just don't like bubbles because I can't see what's going on. And then I'm just going to submerge the whole packet. Now you can gently push down on it. This will not felt. I'm just going up and down. I've done this so many times, and I have never felted anything this way yet. All right, so typically it takes about 15 minutes. I don't leave my wool in scour water, or scour liquor as they call it in the research papers, for more than 15 minutes. There's just no reason to. So, and the longer it's in, I don't know, I just think that's adequate time for the lanolin to melt. And then the water may cool off, and then lanolin will redeposit on the wool, and then you're like, I can't get my wool clean, what's going on? So for about 15 minutes, and then I will come back and show you what else I do. 15 minutes is up and the scouring is done. This wool is pretty clean. I mean, the water's really not that dirty, but if it were dirty, it would be clean. Okay, so I take the packet and I fold it in thirds. You see that? And then I give it just a little squeeze to squeeze out excess water and lanolin and dirt. All right, then I set that aside, and I'm going to rinse it in clear water. Now, since I use a soap that's a pH of 7, this scour liquor or scour water is a pH of 7. So sometimes people will use vinegar in the final rinse and say that it neutralizes or brings their pH back up to 7, but it's already 7, so there's really no need to do that. But if you want to use a little vinegar to cut some of the soap, you are more than welcome. But by squeezing it out, takes out a lot of the soap, and it'll be so much easier to rinse. You won't, if you did not squeeze this and you had all the soapy water in it and it's like full of liquid, you would just transfer that to your rinse bowl. I've never felted anything by just squeezing it gently, even fine grade wools. So just be very gentle, use a really gentle hand, use the palm of your hands to squeeze, and don't squeeze over and over and over again. Just do it one time. All right, so once it's rinsed, I will put this in my Nynasoft spin dryer with these still on to spin out the water, and then take it outside where it's warm to dry. Or you can take out the locks, roll them up in a towel, and squeeze out the water, and again, put them somewhere warm to dry, and then that's it. All right, I'm going to show you one more way to wash your locks. Here is my next technique. Now I am going to wash these lock by lock, and this time I'm going to use Unicorn Power Scour, one of my other favorite soaps. So I'm using a vessel. I'm using actually a cake pan. And I'm using something that's about as wide as the locks that I have, because I want to keep them in order. So again, I have my hot water, 125 degrees. I'm going to add some soap, kind of swish it around. And then I'm going to take the locks and I'm just going to submerge them. I might add a few more locks to take advantage of this Scour water. So I'm trying to keep them in order so they kind of hold themselves in place. Now, some of the tips may be a little bit on the dirty side, so I don't know if you can see. Can you see how dirty that is? So you can see the wool's getting very clean except for some of the tips. So because the scales are like a pine cone, I'm going to rub from the base of from the cut end of the wool towards the top. I'm not pulling it apart. I'm just going to rub it like this to get rid of some of that dirt. And I'm going to do it under the water so the soap kind of lubricates the wool and it won't felt. I've, again, never felt, no, there's always that first time. Never felted a wool doing it this way. So I'll kind of go through and look at the tips. You will probably have some vegetable matter, but again, if you're going to comb this wool, it'll get rid of it. And then if you have a little bit of dirt left, you can flick those tips. Okay, so again, very gentle hand. I'm going to open those locks. Okay, so they're all kind of in order, and I'm going to let these sit for about 15 minutes. And I'll show you how I take them out and how I rinse them. Okay, 15 minutes is up, and this is the pan with the scoured locks. This is the rinse pan. So I'm going to try to, sorry for my hand in the way, grab them. Okay, with my hands like this, I'm grabbing them and lifting them out of the water like that. Now they're kind of still in the shape they were in. Again, I'm giving a gentle squeeze. I'm not twisting or anything like that. And I'm going to put them in the water in the same orientation they were in. Giving them just a little push down. Now I use a little, probably used a little bit too much soap for the small pan. So I am going to give this a second rinse. This is the final rinse, and the water is super clear. The wool is super white, and I am going to get a towel. Again, I'm going to use my hands like this. Wool is very weak when it's wet, so I want to support it from the bottom and not let it hang. It's kind of reminds me, we took a fishing clinic and they said to hold the fish kind of like that. I don't know. Okay, so there is the wool still in the locks, and I'm going to roll it in the towel and squeeze out the water. You could also put this in your Nina soft dryer, but the wool in the towel, the locks in the towel stays a little bit in better orientation. All right, so there is the locks. Again, some of the embedded dirt, which will come out when you comb them. But look how beautiful and white compared to this, right? This is just beautiful. So this is another way to scour locks and keep them in a formation so they are ready to comb for your worsted prep. Really, really beautiful. Thank you for supporting Kamaj Fiber Arts and for supporting our wool growers and our fiber artists in the spinning box. We cannot thank you enough for all the support that you have given us, and we love you so much. You can email me at info@kamajfiberarts.com, and you can visit our website at kamajfiberarts.com, and stay tuned for my wool scouring book. I'm excited to show you guys what I've learned. All right, thanks, bye.